I mean, I have this thing, I call it loiter with intent. And anytime I'm on campus, I will make sure I spend 1 hour loitering, not working. So walking around the lunchroom, stopping in the financial aid office to see my employees there, my colleagues, going to a women's field hockey game. They're the kinds of things, and that's mentoring. Where you have life-giving conversations with someone else, and that's how I look at it.
Welcome to YMI Talking, a podcast where the guests are so good, you'll wonder why the host is even talking. In each episode, you will hear one of the leaders of the Lehigh Valley's vibrant business hub. They will tell you the keys to their success, the mistakes they've made, and what they have in store for the future. Here is the host of YMI Talking, from YMI Insurance, Jimmy Honachik.
All right, that is me, Jimmy Honachik, and I am joined by Emily Ellis. Hello.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
The first was this podcast. Father Jim is the president of DeSales, and this episode was good on so many different levels.
So many, yeah.
Like what DeSales is doing, continues to do for the area, for its students is incredible. DeSales is great. Father Jim is so energized. Like, you just talk to him and you feel like ready to go.
Yeah, he's super inspiring.
Yeah. And then, spiritually, I thought it was really interesting to hear how he kind of centers himself and gives off that peaceful vibe.
Yeah.
Like you can tell he's at peace.
Yeah. On his way out, he said, "Nice to meet you, Emily. Peace."
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I need to absorb that. We need to have him back just so I can absorb.
Yeah.
We are going to DeSales tonight too, which is really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And the campus is beautiful. Have you been there before?
I have only been there when the Muhlenberg basketball team lost to the DeSales basketball team a few years ago, but I'm excited to go back.
Thanks for being cordial with Father Jim, if that's your experience with DeSales.
Of course.
But no, this episode is great. Father Jim was a true delight to have on here, and let's dive into it.
Yeah, let's go.
Here we go. All right. I am so excited about this episode. I don't think we've ever had anyone from higher ed, certainly not a president, and this is quite an opportunity for us.
Definitely.
Father Jim is from DeSales. He's the president of DeSales. He has an incredible background. We are so lucky to have him in the area, to have him at DeSales, and to have him on the podcast. So, Father Jim, thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Great to be here.
Absolutely. So let's start at the beginning. I mean, how do you get to be president of DeSales University? I imagine you followed sort of the traditional administrative academic background.
No, not traditional. I got to be president because I have three things going for me. I'm an alum of DeSales when it used to be Allentown College of St. Francis DeSales. Second, I'm a priest because the Board of Trustees wanted a Salesian priest to be the president. And third, I have a doctorate. So they're the three things. And so that narrows the field down, like the middle one did, the priest part. So that's how I got it. And it was 2018. I interviewed for the job and I was named president in March of 2017, but I was still in another job. So they put an interim president in for 6 months. So I started January of 2018.
Wow. And I mean, what a time to come in. So you got 2 years under your belt and then you had to go through one of the biggest crises a university has ever had to go through, I think. Talk to me about COVID and navigating that. How was that?
It was very interesting. As I think about COVID, the image that I used often, and at least in my own prayer, my own, trying to wrestle with what's happening around us, was I felt like on days I was juggling a chainsaw, a feather, and a tomato. And everything was about improvisation.
Yeah.
It's like any decision I made lasted about 7 days, and then we had to regroup.
Right.
And then I also thought, as the president, my job was to hold the tension, because everyone was wondering what's next, how we're going to do this, and I just tried to portray a calmness and, everything was on Zoom.
Right.
So I got used to that. And it was quite something. But we got through it. DeSales stayed open, and that really bode well for us. Minus Governor Wolf closed everyone down for, I think, 3 months or so. But once we were allowed to reopen, we did. Enrollment boomed. And since then, we've had record enrollments.
Wow.
Yes.
You mentioned being the calming demeanor. You do give that off. Where does that come from? The sense of calm that you have.
Well, thank you for saying that, because I'm not sure my close friends would say that. But in a role, I want to call it a pastoral presence. So, being a priest, I've been a priest now for 35 years. It really makes a difference when you have inner peace, because I think that's the best gift you can give another person. Not to be anxiety laden, not to be, leaking all of your own energy into the conversation you're having with somebody. It's just be present and focused. And I work hard on that. I pray every day. I start my day every day with morning prayer and try to center. It's not always effective. I do lose my temper, and I can get, a little off balance with things that happen during the day. But I really try to be a gentle presence in a very violent world.
Yeah.
And I think we all need to do that.
Yeah, I'm working on being a gentle presence. I know Emily would not agree that I'm there yet, but we're working on it for sure. Let's follow that through line, though. I mean, okay. The priesthood. How do you find the calling? How do you come to the priesthood and your journey through that?
I went to a high school in Philadelphia. I grew up in Philly, and I went to a large high school called Father Judge High School. It was staffed by the Oblates of St. Francis de Sales, so that's the community that I belong to. There were about 40 of them on the staff. So this school was huge.
Yeah.
So it probably at the time there were close to 4,000 students there. So, wow. I was exposed to these priests who were young, old. Some of them were seminarians. I really thought they were great. And they really, they taught me a lot about, what it means to be, a young man. I mean, I was a kid at the time, but they really helped us grow up. Mm-hmm. And then so they directed me to Allentown College of St. Francis de Sales, because they also staffed this university where I'm now president. Mm-hmm. So that university was founded in 1965, and it was fledgling when I was a student. I showed up at Allentown in 1979. So they were throwing scholarship money around, right. And I wanted to go to St. Joe's, but my dad, when he found out, that we were getting scholarship, was like, "You're going there."
Right.
But I also wanted to go into seminary. I really had that call, but it was really hard to, let people know that. There was like a kind of a little, I don't know if I was embarrassed, but I wasn't sure of it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't what other people were doing. So I went there as a regular college student, but also as a discerner for the Oblates. So after 2 years, I joined the seminary officially, went to boot camp for them down in Rising Sun, Maryland. You work on a farm, and you live there like a monk. It's grand silence every night. You work on the farm, you study in the morning, you have visitors one Sunday a month for 4 hours. And you don't get many because it's Rising Sun, Maryland. So thank God my mom and dad and family came.
Yeah.
And that's a year. And that was my start. And then I went back to college and all those things.
Yeah. That's incredible. So then let's keep going. So you get to college, or you go back to college. Tell me about that and sort of what degree you were pursuing and where you went after.
Right. So I went back to Allentown College, and
can we center on that real quick?
Sure.
It's not called Allentown College anymore.
Not called Allentown College. In 2000, we changed the name to DeSales University.
Yeah.
And we did that because when Allentown College was founded, the first bishop of the Diocese of Allentown, Joseph McShay, wanted to replicate the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, where he came from. And we needed a Catholic college. And the word on the street was that he called the Jesuits to come and staff it, but they didn't get back to him right away. Uh-huh. So he was concerned, like, what's going on here? So then he called the provincial of the Oblates of St. Francis de Sales, and we got back right away. And we came here in 64, got everything ready, opened in 65. And the bishop said, whatever you want to name the college, it has to have Allentown in its name.
Oh, get out.
So that's why we have Allentown College of St. Francis de Sales.
Yeah.
And I remember as a young, as a high school student, filling out all of those little circles with a pencil, yes. Allen. So annoying. So when Bishop McShay died, that, in his will, that was, it counted from when he was alive. So that means we could have changed the name. And I think very shortly after he died, we changed it to DeSales University. Wow. And that's how that happened.
Yeah.
So it's much easier to write it on an application.
It definitely is. So then you went back to DeSales.
Went back to DeSales, finished my college. I graduated with a degree in politics and a certification from the state of Pennsylvania to teach social studies.
Wow.
And never did that. But I taught high school for 2 years afterwards as an intern for the Oblates, and then went to grad school in Washington. I got my Master's of Divinity in Theology from the DeSales School of Theology, which is part of Catholic University now. Okay. And I got my Master's in School Counseling at George Washington University. And then later got my doctorate from GW in Human Development. Okay. So that's my education.
And then what happens next? So you graduate, you've done all of your education. There's something between there and becoming the president of DeSales. So what are you doing?
Well, a lot happened. So I was, basically a priest for, 25 years or so before I came back to DeSales. I worked at GW as the chaplain. I taught there. I also taught at Catholic U. I was the rector of the seminary in Washington. So that means that I ran the formation program for all the young, students who came to learn how to be priests. I taught at a seminary. I also was involved in working for my community of priests, spreading Salesian spirituality. I was called the director of Salesian programs. So between Boston and Haiti. Wow. So that's where we have our men. That was exciting. Then I was elected by all the priests in my community to be the leader. So I became the provincial from 2008 to 18. So those 10 years, I was, I like to think of myself as a glorified HR director for priests and brothers and seminarians.
Yeah.
Highlight of that was I was in Haiti in 2010, visiting our missions there. I flew out of Port-au-Prince the day before that earthquake.
Yeah.
I'm sure you remember that. And some of our oblate seminarians were crushed to death in that earthquake. People that I had seen just 2 days before. So that's like one little snippet of what I did as the provincial. We run high schools, rehab centers, parishes, college, so we do a lot of things, and we spread the spirit of St. Francis de Sales. And our motto at DeSales University is be who you are and be that well.
That's great.
So, yeah.
I have two questions coming out of that. The first one is between the different sects, whether it's Salesian or whether it's Augustinians or Jesuits. Are there any rivalries there? Do you guys get amped up for things like that? As a competitive person, I would be looking at the Jesuits like, come on, guys.
Well, since the Jesuits have 21 universities with great basketball teams, Villanova has a great Pope.
I was going to say, they have a Pope, yeah.
So, at DeSales University, I'm like, I wouldn't mind having some of that too. But we have a great thing in the Lehigh Valley.
Yeah.
We're the only Catholic, institution in the Lehigh Valley of higher education. Mm-hmm. But to directly, no, we don't compete like that. I mean, we joke around about that.
Yeah.
I will kid around. Like when I worked in Washington, D.C. at GW, on the weekends, I would celebrate Mass at Holy Trinity Parish, which is Jesuit, right across the street from Georgetown University.
Right.
So since I was there so often, people thought I was a Jesuit. Mm-hmm. So anytime someone put an SJ after my name, I would always say, why did I get a downgrade? So because my initials are OSFS, Oblate St. Francis de Sales. So yeah, we kid around about it, but truly we're all in this together. It's like one big church, a lot of different charisms, and that's what makes the church beautiful.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to now you're at DeSales, and let's talk about DeSales. I think that's a good transition. I mean, it is such a well-known institution in the Lehigh Valley.
Thank you.
What kind of makes it, what separates it? What makes it unique?
I like to think of our uniqueness as our unfair advantage. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's Catholic, it's Salesian. Mm-hmm. And most schools would say this, that it's student-centered, but we are student-centered. we're values driven, and we spend a lot of time on outcomes. Like we want to get kids jobs. Like I always say, somewhat jocosely, our mission is twofold. It's transformative, meaning we want to get you into heaven, and it's transactional. We want to get you a job. And that's truly what it comes down to. Like we talk a lot about using the terminology of business, ROI, but parents today want to know what the return on the investment is. And higher education today really needs to show that. And at DeSales, we do that well. I mean, we have great programs. We are job ready. We just literally last week, our faculty overwhelmingly, 95% voted on our newest program, which is aviation management. Wow. So we're partnering with Penn Flight School in Quakertown. And this is going to be really exciting. So we have programs like that because it meets the needs of the market, of the community. We have a great physician assistant, nursing, physical therapy, speech language, performing arts, humanities. We actually have a graduate program in humanities called a Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing, which, in this day and age, a lot of schools are dropping, some of their humanities programs. So I'm proud of that. We have great sciences. We have a school of the sciences. We have criminal justice program. So we have a great gem in Center Valley.
That's a great point. How do you manage, whether it's the ROI of a discipline for you as sort of running the university? I mean, the humanities, as you said, it's probably become more difficult to staff that and support that, but it is incredibly important, to humanity and civilization. So how do you think about that tension, back to you kind of being the point of tension?
That's a great question about the tension. So I see it as parallel tracks. So yes, DeSales University has quickly become a healthcare business university. So to be really frank, that's the revenue stream, right? So do humanities make money? Not really. But, as long as we break even, that makes me as the president happy. And even some years where we don't break even, those other programs help it. But they're all as important as the other. So we're all going towards the same goal. So, the humanities, theology, philosophy, history, there's Spanish, like they help us become our best selves. Like they help us flourish. So to be a human being in this human community that we call the world, we need the liberal arts and liberal doesn't mean liberal as opposed to conservative. Liberal means it sets you free. I always say, and Jesus said, you'll know the truth and the truth will set you free. And that's where we discover the truth about ourselves. Sitting in a philosophy class, reading Plato and Aristotle, and sometimes that can be boring, but it's so necessary to flourish as a human being.
Whew, Father Jim, as a liberal arts major Catholic, you just spoke to me hardcore right there. That was incredible. I think it is so important.
Yes.
And, it helps you think differently. If everyone is in business school and they're thinking and learning the exact same things, and then you come in with a liberal arts degree into that same environment, you're going to have a completely different mindset than everyone else.
Absolutely.
And I think there's huge benefits to that. So thank you for, keeping the humanities and the arts alive at DeSales.
Thank you.
I genuinely think that makes the world a better place.
And then why don't you sign up for MFA in creative writing now? So that would be really helpful, Jimmy.
My wife does not want me to put more on my plate right now.
Okay. I understand that. Yes.
But speaking of the humanities and DeSales, I think we can't ignore the Shakespeare Festival.
Amen. Yes.
It is incredible and such a gem here in the Lehigh Valley. My wife and I went there in college. We just stopped. We didn't know anything about it. And I remember someone came and read us a sonnet, and we went and saw Othello, and it's just a truly hidden gem. I mean, can you talk about that partnership a little bit?
Absolutely. It is a wonderful opportunity as the president of DeSales to say that our Shakespeare Festival is the official Shakespeare Festival of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Love that.
So I want to make sure I put that out there.
Absolutely.
Jason King-Jones, the artistic director, and Casey Gallagher, who is our executive managing director. The two of them are a dynamic duo. And let's face it, the arts in this day and age, trying to get people into a theater in the summer where sometimes outside it's 90 degrees, that's not easy to do. They put on, I think, 10 performances. They always try to have some big bang musical and then run through all the corpus of Shakespeare, which is important. Just last night, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who said that, how do you define a classic? And the two prongs of a classic, it's timeless and it is ever rich. It's ever meaningful. Yeah. And Shakespeare's that. And so they do that so well. They have the Will Shakespeare tour for high school students that our actors will go out to local high schools. They have talkbacks. They have, wine and cheese before the events all summer. So yeah, we're really proud of it and they're doing some great things. So thank you.
Absolutely. No, they definitely are. Let's go back to the business side of DeSales though, because generally the audience for this podcast is business focused. They're in the community. What is DeSales doing on that end in terms of business education, and what separates them maybe from the pack on that?
Well, last year, we received our most transformational gift in the history of Allentown College DeSales University.
Wow.
From J.B. Riley and Catherine Waterbury Riley. Wow. So they named the business school. So it's called Waterbury Riley School of Business. And that alone put us on a new trajectory. Like students want to go to a named school.
Yeah.
Like I fly in and out of Philadelphia Airport. You always see the Howe School of Business for St. Joe's. My next goal is to say Waterbury Riley School of Business. Places like that. Because people pay attention to it. So putting the name on there was important. But also we have a dean, Christopher Kokoza, who is a well-seasoned attorney, and he's also a tax expert. Had his degrees from Fordham University, and he is a great leader for our faculty. And the school's only as good as the faculty. So we're doing programs like the VITA program to help elderly people do their taxes. So our students will go out to the community for that. We have lectures that are open to the public. There's just many things that we are doing to, set ourselves, out and as a leader of the pack, like I just said about aviation management.
Yeah.
We started a program in supply chain management, which I think is a really fabulous major.
Yeah.
But it's hard to sell it sometimes to high school kids because it's like, what's that?
Right.
But as we know in the Lehigh Valley, you're looking around at some of these trucks and warehouses and, we need people to understand that whole, economy.
Not going anywhere for sure.
It's not going anywhere for sure. So it's a great program. It's a great school, and we're doing good things.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to Father Jim a little bit. You are big into working out, I believe.
Well, look at me. I don't do this, but I do a lot of cardio.
You and me, Father. People look at us and they think we lift, but we don't.
Thank you. Every day, not every day, but at least 5 days, I do power walking, throughout the Lehigh Valley, Center Valley. I have started now working on my core.
Okay.
Again, I'm still at the beginning phases. So if you have me back next year, I'll have another size quarter zip on. But, and that's been good, know, so I'm really enjoying that. And just face it, for me, it's just quick and easy. I get up early and it's easy to just get outside and walk. And I used to run all the time on the rail trail.
Yeah.
But COVID changed that. So, because I had more time on my feet. I just started doing the hills and stuff, and I love it. And it's great for me because it just leads right into prayer. It centers me, focuses me. And I can tell, on a day when I don't work out, my day doesn't go as well as it does when I do.
Yeah.
So really important.
And do you do it on campus? Do you do the rail trail? Where do you find yourself?
All three, so there's a development that just went in on the north end of campus, has these huge hills.
Yeah. So
sometimes I'll do, 4 of those hills. It takes me about 35 minutes. And, it's like, I feel like I worked out for an hour.
I was going to say, you like to challenge yourself. I would try to do as flat of space as I can.
Well, when I'm running, that's when I do the flat.
Okay.
So, but I'm a big, I know a lot, I'm at the university now with a lot of Gen Z students, right? So, and we know that one of the things that they're very cognizant of, and it's beautiful and it's a good example, is work-life balance.
Yeah.
And I don't always have that, so I've learned now back at a university around so many young people that it's really important for me to remember mind, body, spirit. So the prayer, eating well, because as a college president, everywhere I go, there's food around, right? So like tonight, I'm hosting, 8 couples who bid on me for dinner from a golf tournament we've had. So, that happens often. So there will be wine served. There's going to be appetizers. There's going to be dinner. And I have to be very careful to watch. Otherwise, I'd be like, so I need to keep all that in balance. And, I always think, manage your anger, get good sleep, drink a lot of water, and just live life authentically. Yeah. Like that's like, they're so simple, but I try to do that and it really helps me.
I am not shocked that you and Eric Bartos get along so well then. Sounds like his playbook right there.
We're cut from the same jib.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he taught me.
I just realized we're going to be at DeSales today.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
For the awards.
Yes. The
Halloween
fastest growing business awards.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
And that just makes me realize like what an integral part of the Lehigh Valley you are in terms of obviously you're bringing in young people, you're educating them, you're giving them that. But for the business community, so many events are hosted there and you are open to this for the business community. Talk to me a little bit about the Lehigh Valley and kind of what makes it special.
Well, when I got this job in 2018, one of my major concerns was, what's it going to be like living in Centre Valley? Because I was a student in 1979 and there was no promenade shops.
Right.
I mean, it was like the Coop was still there.
Yeah.
Inside Scoop was there.
Lane
Co. was
so much.
You love it. So do our students.
Yes.
So, there was a Lane Co, which is now Giant. So I was like, wow. And I had lived in DC all these years. I like the first month there, I said, I love this. Like it would be hard to go back to a city. That's how much I love it. It's just beautiful here. It has grown. I'm a member of the board of the Lehigh Valley Economic Development Corporation. So Don Cunningham runs, and I'm just seeing like we are the second largest commerce center now in the state. Like we're really outpacing Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
there's a lot happening here.
There is
a lot of people going to Allentown. Like it's I quoted J.B. Riley the other day from the New York Times article. Like this place is on fire when it comes to the economy. It's 50-50 politically, which is great because like look at the political environment in the world. So I like it here, and DeSales University, I think, is nestled in the midst of all of this wonder and greatness. And I'm really happy about that. I say often I want DeSales to look like Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton. And I think we do. We have a lot of students from those areas. I love the fact that we do have a great university center, which brings people in for conferences. We have a great parking lot next to that center, which people like, and it's free parking. So that helps us. We have almost 600 acres as a campus. Wow. So I always say when you're on a campus, everywhere you look is our campus. And in terms of recruitment, if we get someone onto the campus, that's the deal breaker to get them to enroll.
100%.
Yeah. So it really works out well.
That's awesome.
So I love it.
Yeah. You were telling us a story before we came on here about before you took the role as president. And basically you were going through and calling people to get a sense. Just walk me through, the mindset as you are transitioning from your duties prior to, teaching and being a priest, but now taking on, the role as president at DeSales.
Yes, I was concerned. I was excited, but also concerned about my candidacy for the role of president because I'm not a traditional academic. I didn't grow up through the ranks of academia. I was never a provost or a department chair or anything. Like that's the normal path. Yeah. So I'd been, a professor down in DC, but more like an adjunct because it was never my full-time gig. So that was my concern. I was on the board at DeSales for about 10 years. And I think that's another reason. So the board chair did reach out to me to kind of say, we think you'd be a good candidate here. Yeah. So I needed that little prodding. So in order for me to get comfortable with the idea, I identified 10 college presidents, and they were all Catholic college presidents. So I narrowed the scope to ask about what's it like to be in that role. And boy, did I get a lot of different, responses. The only non-Catholic school was Tufts University.
Okay.
Because the president there at the time, Tony Monaco, I served on another board with him for another school. So I listened to him too.
Yeah.
And he gave me a great image. He said, look, you're accepting the role of mayor of a little city.
Yeah.
And to me, I thought, I can get my hands around that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kept that with me. So I do feel like I'm the mayor of, DeSales University in Center Valley. I try to know everyone by name, and I don't, but I know a lot. Even students, I have my own ways of trying to remember them. But I think it's important for me to know, the guys that work on facilities and the tenured professors who've been there for 25 years. Mm-hmm. That's important because for me, I'm like the maestro of a beautiful symphony before me, and I just have to keep it playing really fabulous music.
Yeah,
and that's what I've learned as the university president.
I love that. One thing Emily noticed in doing research on you was that you are very integrated in the fabric, so much so that I think you've officiated weddings of alumni, or at least how cool of an experience, for you, but for them. Like, talk about that a little bit.
Well, it is cool. It's a delight and an honor that people ask me to officiate. Yeah. So, and especially if someone asked me to officiate in Macerata, Italy over Memorial Day weekend, the answer is, of course.
Yeah, if they need a layperson to officiate, I'm also available.
I'll let you know. And in fact, I said, even if I have plans for Memorial Day, I'm canceling it. But that doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
But no, I really enjoy it. And I'm very grateful. Bishop Schlert, the bishop of the diocese, he gives permission for us to officiate marriages in the university chapel if you are an alum or a staff member. So we're very grateful for that, to have that permission. Mm-hmm. So we do a lot, and my other brother priest who, work at DeSales, they also do marriages. It's beautiful. Like I did a wedding 2 weeks ago. They're very young, Christian and Lindsay. They were both basketball players and very good. Oh, wow. Excuse me. They were both basketball players. Well, they had their reception in the university dining hall. They had their rehearsal party in the university pub. They had their
cool
wedding.
Is that? Yeah.
So they invited 3 priests to do the wedding. So it's beautiful. And like you kind of catch a whiff of the hope of youth as the college president. And when they in kind return that to say, I want my marriage to have, a Catholic mass to be part of it. That's beautiful. Because with no judgment here, a lot of young people today want to get married outside and want to be on the beach and the mountains. And I understand that. That's God's creation. It's beautiful. But it's also beautiful when students want to do it in church and have it, with the sacrament. So I love that.
My wife and I met at Villanova, and that was important to us to do it at the church there because it was part of our story. And I think it is magical in a way to kind of tie it all back together like that.
It is. And at Villanova Chapel, that space is reserved way in advance.
Yes. My wife knew the exact day. She had researched this, and, as soon as it was available, she asked for it. Mm-hmm. And I've heard you are familiar or friendly with Father Peter?
I am. In fact, I would say he truly is. We become friends, but he started off as a mentor. So when I first became president, again, as I told you, I interviewed, but I also,
Yeah.
This is what I get from talking too much. With Father Peter, I also had a mutual friend who lived with him. So I was able to get his cell phone, and I called him and said, hey, would you ever consider, getting together with me? And he was like, absolutely. Yeah. So we've met often, usually at a meal, and just talk college life. And then, many other things, of course. Right. I always try to make sure we don't go near Villanova because everyone knows Father Peter. Mm-hmm. And it's like I'm sitting there having dinner and the entire restaurant's coming over, kind of bowing down and worshiping him. So, but he's such a magnanimous,
I was going to say, he's such a personality.
He is. Yeah. And he knows college life and he knows how to be president. So I'm lucky that I have him to be a mentor.
How important, and we have to wrap this up, and I hate that. How important is mentorship, whether it is, you looking to mentors, and that's a theme that I feel like I've heard on, you called the 10 people beforehand, you and Father Peter get together. But now on the reverse side, I mean, do you have people looking to you in terms of mentorship? And how do you just think about mentorship in general?
I think mentorship is part of the education experience at DeSales University. Like whether you're a coach, a teacher, a president, Diane, who is the Sodexo employee who knows most of the students by name. Yeah. She mentors these students that come in there just by saying, how did you do last night in the performance? So that's a really good thing for us to think about. There's a student who asked if he could have 15 minutes of my time every week just to learn what I did during the week. And it's beautiful. Yeah. Because he said, I really like the way you do your job. And when I get out there in the world, I want to be able to take your executive skills. So I was honored by that. Can I find 15 minutes every week? Sad to say no, because sometimes I'm that crazy busy. I got it. But most of them. I mean, I have this thing, I call it loiter with intent. And anytime I'm on campus, I will make sure I spend 1 hour loitering, not working. So walking around the lunchroom, stopping in the financial aid office to see my employees there, my colleagues, going to a women's field hockey game. They're the kinds of things, and that's mentoring. Yeah. Where you have life-giving conversations with someone else. And that's how I look at it. Loiter with intent. I'm writing that down. I love that. Yes. That's great. All right. So we're out of time, and I hate it because I've enjoyed every second of this conversation. But before we get out of here, we've got two things we're going to do. The first is Z-Craft is our sponsor. They are a cafe in the promenade at the airport. They're incredible. The coffee is wonderful. The food is awesome. And it's all just a great place. You go there, you get a coffee, and you have a sip. But sometimes in life, as you know, sip happens. And so we want to hear, a time that sip happened to you. Well, this is not going to be like recent or at DeSales, but that question, zip happened to me when I was in high school, freshman into sophomore. I fell off a roof. Oh my gosh. Because we shouldn't have been, my brothers and other friends, we used to sneak into a hotel to use their pool during the summers. Yes. And then we're getting the Father Jim stories. Here we go. Okay. And that's why we have statute of limitations. And we used to play wiffle ball. And at the time, my younger brother roofed the ball, which was a grand slam, but you had to go retrieve your own ball. He went up to get it. I think now he would die if he heard me say this, but it's true. He was nervous to come down. So I went up and saved his life, got him off the roof. And I was kind of hanging there, and it gave way. And the roof caved in on me. Oh my gosh. And I woke up in a like an ambulance center. They just rushed me right there. Yeah. It was and I broke my arm, sprained the other, was in a cast in one. It was so that whole summer, I was out, and that was probably the time that zip happened to me. But it was probably one of the best things, because I always thought I wanted to play basketball, and I wasn't great. Yeah. But my brother did. But the doctor said, well, you can't do anything like that. You either swim or get out. And I swam for 4 years in high school. Wow. As a result. Sometimes things happen for a reason. Zip happens for a reason. It was good. And I think it was good because I've really always been into cardio as a result. Oh, that's great. Well, anything that we didn't hit, anything you want to talk about, this would be your chance to get it out there before we wrap up. I want to just make sure I say that I am profoundly grateful to God that I have had all these amazing opportunities in my life. As a priest, as an oblate of St. Francis de Sales, I just could not think that I would be here today talking to you. So that's the first thing I want to say. And then secondly is I just love being here in the Lehigh Valley. I'm glad to meet you, glad to meet Emily. I know this guy. And that's what I love about here, that we are a big commerce center, like I said, but people know one another in Lehigh Valley. And I've not experienced that in any other place where I've lived. So thank you for the honor of being with you today. And hopefully I made some sense in what I share with you. You absolutely did. I got chills multiple times during this conversation. It was really great. Father Jim, I cannot thank you enough for coming on here. Thank you so much. Amen. Okay. Amen.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the YMI Talking podcast. If you enjoyed this and want to hear more content from amazing personalities in the Valley, please subscribe, leave a rating, and drop us a quick review.